When I audit a team's ClickUp workspace, there's one mistake I find more than almost any other. It's not a missing feature or a broken automation. It's subtasks and checklists used interchangeably with no rule behind the choice. And it does the real damage. Work that should be on someone's plate becomes invisible, your project progress stops being accurate, and the whole workspace starts to feel cluttered and untrustworthy. The fix is simple. It comes down to one question you can ask about any item in ClickUp, which I will cover in a few minutes. I will go through the real difference between subtasks and checklists, the one that actually affects your team, then the single rule I use to decide every time, and 3 mistakes I find most often when I audit a workspace and exactly how to fix each one. Both subtasks and checklists live inside a task. Both let you break down work into smaller pieces. That's exactly why people mix them up. But under the hood, they are completely different things, and the difference decide whether your workspace works or not. A subtask is functionally a task. It can be scheduled, it can be assigned, and that person is generally accountable for it. It shows up on their home and in the list. In the views as well, it can block other work with dependencies, and you can report on it. It has all of the fields that you can apply actually on a task. So those all can be applied to a subtask, as you can see here. Even the custom fields, the statuses, everything. ClickUp lets a single task hold up to 1,000 subtasks. A checklist can have a name, and you can assign an item to one person. Here's what a checklist item cannot do, and this is the part most people generally don't know. It cannot have a due date. It cannot have a status. And even when you assign it to someone, it doesn't show up on their home and it doesn't show up on their inbox. The only place an assigned checklist item appears is me mode. So in practice, a checklist item is almost invisible. A checklist item is a reminder. It exists only inside its parent task. It has no life of its own. On the other hand, for the subtasks, you can set them as different task type as well. One more thing, because it affects your reporting, ClickUp can roll a task progress up automatically, but only from subtasks, checklist items, and assigned comments. If you write your steps as a plain text in the task description, ClickUp sees nothing. So the choice between description, checklist, and subtask isn't cosmetic. It decides whether your progress data is real or fictional. So you can track completion of your task based on subtasks, archive subtasks, checklist, and assigned comments. So here's the real difference. A subtask is a piece of work that exists in its own right. A checklist item is a reminder that exists only inside its parent. Everything else, every rule I'm about to give you, follows from that one fact. So here's the rule I use. For any item, ask one question. Can it be late? Can this thing have a deadline that someone is accountable for hitting? If the answer is yes, it has to be a subtask. Not because subtasks are fancier, because a checklist item physically cannot hold a due date, and it will never show up on the assignee's home or inbox. Put the deadline-bearing work in a checklist, and you have made it invisible. If the answer is no, if it's a simple done or not done check, a don't forget this tick that one person handles as part of doing the task, then it's a checklist item. That's the whole rule. Can it be late? Yes. It's a subtask? No. It's a checklist. I have a task here, improve the onboarding process. Now the subtask should be one that can be late, they can have a deadline and handed to different people and need to be tracked. So if you go down, you'll see here that I have 2 subtasks here. Conduct 10 interviews to identify issues with the onboarding process. You can have a assignee, you can set up the priority, the due date, and by clicking on the columns to add, you will be able to see that all things that can be applied to a task can be applied to subtasks as well. So this is really important. You can have even the custom fields and statuses being set for subtasks. For the checklist items, they just need to be something which can't really be late. They are done or not done. Quality checks one person does in one pass. So you can have multiple checklists to mark. The 3 mistakes I find in workspace audits. Mistake number 1, everything is a subtask. The most common thing I find is overuse of subtask. Every tiny step is its own subtask. Open the file, email the client, tick this box, often nested 2 or 3 layers deep. Few things break when you do this. 1. Your list views become a wall of items, and the real deliverables get buried under trivia. 2. People miss this. Once you set subtasks to display as separate tasks so you can report on them, all of that trivia floods your views and reports too. The team stops using them because they feel it's so cluttered. All you need to do to fix it is to follow that rule that I just showed you. Mistake number 2, real deadline-bearing work hidden in checklist. The opposite mistake, and it's most dangerous because it's silent, real, delegated deadline-bearing work sitting inside a checklist. It looks tidy, but the item has no due date. It will never appear on that person's home. They get no deadline reminder, and the only way they can see is if they open the me mode. Mistake number 3, no consistent convention. The third one isn't about a single item, it's about the whole workspace. The same kind of work is a subtask in one list and a checklist in another. There's no rule, so every person on the team just guesses. 3 things break. Your progress roll-ups become meaningless because your inputs are inconsistent. Now team members have nothing to follow, so the mess compounds. You as the owner can't trust a single cross-project view because you don't know what you're looking at. The fix is to pick the convention, the can't it be late rule, and write it down somewhere the team actually sees it. A document, your onboarding page, wherever. Then apply it in the same way everywhere. One question sorts almost every case. Can it be late? Yes, it's a subtask. No, it's a checklist. If your workspace was built without that rule, you're almost certainly got work hiding in the checklist and clutter hiding in subtasks. Honestly, that's just one of the things I find when I audit a workspace. If you want to know what else is quietly slowing your team down, I've put together a free operations health audit that walks you through it. The link is in the description. If this was useful, subscribe and like. Thank you.